The MAC West Division swing into Muncie, Indiana, where we are joined by the head football coach of the Ball State Cardinals, former MAC Player of the Year as a quarterback for Ball State. We say hi to Mike New. Welcome, Coach New.
Thank you.
Greetings. Listen, third year you begin with your football program and building the culture, building your philosophy. Mike, as you go into year three, just overall, as you take your temperature of your Cardinal program, where do you feel you're at?
Obviously, we have been through some growing pains in Muncie, but we have had two fantastic recruiting classes. We're a young football team, and despite what happened to us a year ago with some of the challenges that we faced, our kids stayed positive day in, day out. That tells me where our locker room is at. It's a great vibe. It's a great culture. Guys are doing things the right way, and they know that some of the growing pains that we've experienced, we're going to benefit from it here in the long run. And July 31st cannot get here fast enough for me.
No doubt. You look back to last year, right? I mean, you guys start the season 2-1. You outgain Illinois in the opening game, and then you have all these injuries. Just they pile up. Your quarterback gets hurt. The running backs have injuries. How do you deal with that as you go throughout that season?
Well, you know, as a head coach, you always preach your message to players, hey, the next guy's got to be ready to go. And unfortunately, that proved to be true week in, week out last year. Yes, we lost some of our top players on our team that had the most experience, led obviously with the quarterback, running back James Gilbert, lineman Alex Jaw's first game. So it was tough, but our kids didn't make any excuses. I wouldn't allow for that. Just said you got to come in here with a positive attitude every day. Yes, we're licking our wounds right now, and it's not easy, but we're going to get through this. It's a trying time, but we're going to be better for it in the long run. And that's just the message I continue to preach week in, week out as those injuries started to mount.
So all those guys that got experience last year, now they're going to play.
That's right.
And that's a good thing.
That is a good thing. You know, we've only got 9 seniors on our football team going into the season this year, and so we've got a lot of young players that have got a significant amount of playing time. Sometimes that's a good thing, but I really do believe those guys came back out in spring practice with an attitude and with a mindset. We've got to get where we need to be confidence-wise and belief-wise, because we know, based on the way the season started a year ago, that we can stack up with anybody.
Dustin mentioned the offensive proficiency coming out of the chute last year in one of the first 3 football games, you know, with Riley Neal at the quarterback spot. And Mike, we mentioned, we'll get to Riley as well, but the running back situation you have with your program, we love it. I was teasing Mike before we started it. I think it's right there with the best in the MAC. I mean, again, with James Gilbert and Malik Dunner and Caleb Huntley, who had the terrific freshman year, you have to feel very comfortable about where you're at with that trio. And how competitive is it now for snaps?
Well, you know, the great lesson for me was I went into spring practice saying, okay, we got 3 running backs that are that caliber and that have been very productive for us. How can we get them on the field at the same time? Because we all know that sometimes players are like, if I don't feel like I'm going to get in the mix enough or enough touches, you know, James Gilbert come back off of injury. Caleb Huntley got 1,000 yards for the first time since Bernie Parmalee, who was a great player for us. Yeah. Malik Dunner is got as good of a touch tape as anybody, and he's a special kickoff returner. So the great thing for me was those 3 young men approached me and said, Coach, we don't all have to be on the field at the same time. It's all about being unselfish, and there's plenty of touches to go around. So that was a great to hear that from those young men. But I am very excited. We want to run the ball. We make no secret about that. That's a quarterback's best friend. When you can do that, Riley knows that I'll open up the play-action passing game down there. But those 3 guys had a tremendous spring, carried that into a great summer here, and I'm glad they're on our football team.
Yeah.
You're a former quarterback. Talk to us about the progression, the development of Riley Neal and where he's at now.
He is in a great place. You know, last year was tough. He played 3 games, so he got a red shirt. He's got 2 years left in our program, just like James Gilbert now. But the great thing for Riley, even though it was tough a year ago, he's on a headset every day, every week in practice, in the games. He was communicating with the young players during the game, between series, acting almost in a coaching role during practice. So he has really progressed his football knowledge, and he is in a great place right now. His confidence level, his belief, the way he started out the year last year with his total understanding of protections now. So I'm excited for him because there's been a lot of hard work put in by him. He is a student of the game. And last year, when something's taken away from you, that certainly makes you that much more excited and appreciate every snap that you get.
Well, even though Riley unfortunately went down with injury, you know, Justin Hall had a terrific breakout first year in your program. How do you feel the chemistry between Neal? Have they bonded, worked a lot together through spring and through the summer as well?
They really have. And, we obviously had a great spring practice where we took advantage of every day having those guys on the practice field together for 15 practices. Those guys have carried that momentum into the summer. I always see them or hear about some of the extra throwing sessions that those guys put in on their own, away from the facility. They watch film together sometimes, and so they want to make sure they know what the other guy is thinking because it's so critical to be on the same page, especially when you're playing faster in the heat of the moment, and you have to know each other like the back of your hand. And I think those guys are in a good place right now. They've really developed their relationship and chemistry.
Well, now the other side of the football.
Sure.
The defensive side of football. That's what maybe kept Mike and his defensive coaches up a little bit throughout the offseason.
Sure.
As you give up 40 points a game last year, where do you feel the improvements have to come? What kind of attention to detail, Mike, did you put on that side of the ball through the spring? And where are you at with it?
Yeah, well, the number one thing that happened for us is we moved to a 3-4 defense. Okay, last year we were 4-3. We had 4 senior defensive linemen led by Anthony Winbush, who is a tremendous pass rusher for us. And so when I hired our defensive coordinator, David Elson, 2 years ago, last year was his first season with us, I knew at some point we were going to convert to a 3-4 because I believe in recruiting from a philosophy standpoint. It's much easier to find some athletic, versatile linebackers that certainly make it tough for an offensive coordinator to prepare protection-wise. When you only have 3 guys with their hand in the dirt and you know that there's 4 guys on the perimeter that you can bring in a pressure package, it's tough. And when you don't see that week in, week out, it's just a little different in terms of preparation. So that's the first thing that's been done different for us because we do have some excellent linebacking core that we can move those guys around. And yes, I had to make sure that we restored the confidence and belief in that side of the ball because when you give up points the way we did a year ago, and I told them from day one, it's not all on you guys. Once we lost some of the injuries that took place, those guys felt like the burden was placed on them last year, and that's not a good mindset to play a game in when you're playing tense, tight. So we got back out to having some fun here in spring practice, knowing that you guys don't have to be perfect. What you need to do is make sure and prevent the big play. So we developed a lot with our deep ball skills in spring and really placed an emphasis on that. But I believe in our defense, and we're still going to be young on that side of the ball, primarily up front on the 3 defensive linemen that are going to take the field for us.
Like the approach, let's take a look at what Mike New and the Ball State Cardinals have coming up the first 6 games of the year. So that'll encompass, of course, the non-conference that begins on Labor Day weekend and through the first 6 games of the football season. So the in-state rivalries at Notre Dame and at Indiana, always something. That's going to be a big selling point as far as recruiting for you.
Oh, for sure. When we open up at home on Thursday night against Central Connecticut State, want to get off to a good start at home in front of our fans, get them excited. But then the next 2 weeks, what a great opportunity for our kids in our program. I haven't been to Notre Dame since I was a kid. I went one time with my father as a kid, and so I'm excited to get on the bus in Muncie, put Rudy on. Let's go to Notre Dame Stadium. Let's get it walked. Let's get it over with, and then we'll go to the hotel in Michigan City and get ready to roll for our weekend there. But that is when you have an opportunity to play 2 in-state teams like that, and we've got everything in the world to gain, nothing to lose, and we're going to play the game with that mindset and that kind of mentality.
And we'll all be following Mike Dewitt as Ball State Cardinals. Appreciate it, Coach. Thanks so much. Have a great 2018.
Thank you.